Do not adjust your set. No 3D glasses are required with 3D printing, but be prepared to see things very differently. What you're looking at is a machine that, simply put, creates a physical object out of a digital file. Creating something out of nothing. That's the basic premise behind 3D printing. Adding a thin layer of material, one line at a time, over a period of minutes or hours, depending on the quality of the printer and the detail of the object. Eventually, you get the final product.
It actually functions much like your inkjet printer does at home, where it's laying down a very thin layer of liquid resin that gets cured with a UV light.
How thin are we talking about?
16 microns, which is a very, very, very thin layer.
These are like human hair type dimensions?
Correct.
Objet Geometries is one of only a few 3D printer companies that sell this technology and often let the buyers push the limits of what's possible. In fact, once you understand what a 3D printer does exactly, it's hard to imagine an industry that wouldn't benefit from having one, if they can afford it. The price of Objet printers range from $20,000 to $250,000. Rietveld Architects in New York purchased a printer a couple of years ago and say it's changed the way they do business, even giving them a competitive advantage.
Every month when we would have a new meeting with the client, we would just bring him the latest set of drawings and 3D presentation, but also the latest version of that model. And so it became a fully integrated part of our work.
It used to be that Rietveld and his team handcrafted one of these models. Tedious, to say the least, and they only had one. Now they can print as many as they need, but it may not stop there.
So today, it's 3D printing of models of buildings. Do you see a day when it's 3D printing of actual buildings?
Yeah. You would just have a head just go over a building site, and eventually it just write it, and until every intricate detail you can print in the future.
Sound crazy? Well, plans are underway for large 3D printers with the capability of printing with multiple materials simultaneously, meaning the possibilities are nearly endless. From guitars to razors to prosthetic limbs to, yes, even a car. Meet Irby, the world's first car to have its body 3D printed. From toys to practical objects, anything you can think of, you can create, including a 3D likeness of yourself.
Seems a little bit like magic that you've got, it just starts creating these objects.
Well, 3D printing is magic.
The team at MakerBot Industries in Brooklyn wanted to make this technology more affordable. So after figuring out how to make one for themselves, they started offering DIY 3D printing kits starting at $649 to anyone who wants one. And it turns out the demand is there. They just sold their 3,000th printer.
People compare where 3D printing is now to the same place that personal computing was in the late 70s. We often get told that this is something like the Altair 8800 or the Apple I of 3D printing. And that's pretty exciting.
But letting just anyone tinker with making physical objects also changes the way manufacturing is done and protected.
You take the design, you put it in the printer, and you print it out. So entire businesses that are built around managing huge numbers of the exact same parts and shipping them all over the world and creating them and distributing them all of a sudden need to change, because now we're in a world where that role is not as critical to the economy.
It shouldn't be revolutionary that we're putting the power of manufacturing in people's hands. We're humans. We have hands. We can make things. But we've gotten away from it. It's gotten so easy to just buy things that we've forgotten how to do things. And one of the great things about MakerBot is it really puts the power of manufacturing back in your hand, back on your desktop.
It's not happening overnight, but 3D printing is slowly reshaping what it means to build something from the ground up. Daniel Seberg, BBC News.